My name is Dave Risk, and I'm an associate professor in earth sciences at St. FX. And I was asked to participate in the Wallace mentorship or internship program. I wasn't actually asked, I don't think, to be honest. I think that you asked me for sure, but I think it was a little bit of a given, probably given just given my experience with entrepreneurship and being able to cross across as a faculty member with those experiences too. So I'm not really sure that I had a choice, but I was very happy to be involved for sure. As a mentor, I think that the experience that I brought was largely one that I learned through the connection between research and entrepreneurship. I have commercialized through a spin-off company that I created with several of my students, products that were developed originally in my research lab. And so that was really, for me, an act of follow-through where we had something on the academic side that needed to get out into the world, and the way to see it out was to create a company who would be able to offer it on a regular basis. So I guess that's what I brought as experiences, and that as a mentor, I enjoyed being able to connect those two sides of my life, which I'd previously kept quite separate, really. And so this was the first year that I was really allowed to blend my entrepreneurial experience with my academic experience and role as well. And that was stimulating for me personally. And what was also stimulating was just interacting with great, young, motivated people who are creators. And that was just fantastic. So those relationships really counted for a lot and gave me overall very good experience through the program. Well, as I said, that I'm keenly aware of the relationship between academic study and entrepreneurship, and I would bring it back to research again. That I think doing research is an act of creating, and many research labs actually run quite a bit like small companies in a way. And there's economics, there's income, and there are expenditures, and so those have to balance in the research lab. There's communication. The lab's work has to get out there. The lab's work has to be competitive. So anybody's research program is actually like that. So I think that the concept of entrepreneurship is actually much less foreign to academics than it ought to be. I know academics in some cases are cool to the word entrepreneurship because it seems like something that happens outside of campus, but I don't think it does really. I think really the same skills are used all the time inside of campus too. I would very much encourage my colleagues to think about what skills they bring to entrepreneurship. I don't mean, and by that I don't mean what their, the area in which their academic depth sits. So what I do, for example, as an earth scientist, when I study gases, which is most of what I do, I don't necessarily bring my expertise in gases to a company that I might create. What I bring to that is the skills that I learn to communicate, to speak in front of people. These are sort of the general skills that I have as an academic and develop as an academic, and my colleagues have those same skills too. Mm-hmm. And as I've said, I think that many research initiatives and research labs, individual faculty who are involved in scholarship, they already use entrepreneurial type skills, and they're competitive out there in the world, and that they have a lot to offer and teach students who want to go and start things. And the students may be starting companies, or they may be starting other enterprises that are perhaps more socially oriented, or might be nonprofits or something like that. But entrepreneurship is about starting things, and so those skills are resident in the campus community in much greater abundance than we would acknowledge most of the time. The Wallace entrepreneurship is fantastic in that it provides, a really unique hands-on experience that just sort of sits up here and is there for the student for the creator student who's super motivated and wants to get a very high level, in-depth experience and to really try to make something happen. What I think we need to do is to build a bit of a base underneath, especially in academics. Some of our academics don't right now do a great job at giving access to certain to the entrepreneurial type skills to certain students, and I would identify science students as being one of those populations at risk, for example, and that the science students are really busy, and Carson's a science student. He knows what it's like to have labs every afternoon of the week, and what it's like to have to turn down evening opportunities because he's stuck behind his computer, and what it is not to run for student council or to do those other leadership things. That's the story of a science student, and unless it's available within academic programming, they tend not to participate. So I think that we need to try to figure out some way at St. FX and to have some interfaculty conversation about how we can be giving access to entrepreneurial type experiences. It'd be the best if they're hands-on, obviously, but even to just introduce students to the types of skills that are required for building things and starting things. For all the good success this year, I'd say first to Mark and Anita Wallace, bravo, and thanks very much for not only supporting these students and future students, but also starting a great conversation on campus too, because I think that that'll go places. And so first of all, thanks to the Wallace family. And then I'd also like to very much thank Phil and Sue, who really helped drive this and provide the operational support, because although I was involved, I didn't have to be involved on a really day-to-day basis, and so I think that the interns were really well taken care of here, well provided for. So that it wouldn't have worked without that too. So thanks to Sue and Phil for providing that.
My name's Carson Murray, and I'm here for the Wallace family internship. I was one of the interns. I started a project which is now called Pideco Advanced Recycling Systems. Originally, I was here with a concept for a technology to take single-serving coffee pods and turn them into value-added products. But it turned out that I wasn't just going to be taking single-serving coffee pods. I ended up creating a technology that can take all kinds of coffee waste and turn them into many different value-added products. I came in again with a technology that I wanted to commercialize, and so I wanted to create a plan or a system to be able to take the technology from where it was to a place where it could be commercializable with a plan around it and enough support systems around it to be able to actually bring it into market and start a company. So I did eventually end up designing a business plan on which I'm basing, again, the company, Pideco Advanced Recycling Systems, to recycle single-serving coffee waste, to remediate it, and to create value-added products. But originally, the technology only encompassed single-serving coffee waste, so pods like Tassimo, Nespresso, and Keurig. But what ended up happening is both through the end products, really either the markets weren't there or the infrastructure wasn't there for that to be a viable secondary product. The technology ended up changing to create better, more profitable value-added products. Right now, we're working on technologies to be able to take all kinds of coffee waste and turn it into biodiesel through algae biomass, different kinds of 3D printer plastics, thermoplastics out of the coffee grounds themselves, as well as the plastic that single-serving coffee pods are made of, and other sorts of coffee waste like filters, again, going into the biomass products. So I came into the Wallace internship thinking that this was going to be purely about commercialization and the business side of entrepreneurship. But what the Wallace internship ended up instilling in me was a greater love of education. Without the Wallace internship, I would have had a fundamentally different outlook on post-secondary education and what kind of education and what quality of education can come out of a place like St. FX. And so instead of the regular sorts of academic study with the time, the space, the agency, and the access that the internship has given me. I was able to delve into all kinds of subjects that I was incredibly interested in, that I was incredibly passionate in, and it's instilled in me a greater want for lifelong education as opposed to just trying to get a piece of paper. And so also the Wallace internship has allowed me the time, space, agency, and access to get information and to access banks of skills and knowledge to give me a greater leg up in terms of the business side of my project. And so without the Wallace internship, I probably wouldn't have been able to meet so many fantastic CEOs and product developers and gone and visited accountants and lawyers and all kinds of people to discuss the kinds of nuts and bolts of entrepreneurship and running a business and developing a product and running projects, as well as the time, space, agency, and access to run with the intellectual property, the idea, the concept of the technology itself. And so again, without the Wallace internship, I would be in a fundamentally different place than I am right now. I learned about myself during the internship that I burn myself out way too much. I run into projects headlong and I try and get everything done all at once. And that as much as sometimes that works in academia, the kind of the crunching and then writing an exam, it's fundamentally unacceptable. It doesn't work in entrepreneurship or business. And so I've learned to kind of take a step back, to kind of moderate my goals, make them still quite lofty, but definitely attainable, really time-bounded and accessible. And so by doing that, I've given myself time to actually sleep and really kind of digest my information, to really come up with better, more high-quality ideas and come back to the boardroom table and to the classroom table with better thoughts and ideas overall. So in terms of my academic endeavors, I'm still an engineering student here at St. FX. I'm launching Pideco Advanced Recycling Systems while going to school part-time, finishing up my diploma, and then eventually going on to finish my degree. But I wouldn't have come back to school with as much fervor, with as much excitement as I am without the Wallace internship. I was very much kind of, I don't want to say disenfranchised, but I was very much disengaged with the academic system. I was very much plodding along, and the internship has given me the time and space and agency and access to be able to really to do what I came to university for, to investigate the fundamental parts of our universe that make my life and the lives of all human beings work, and how I can discover new parts of that, work with them, and create fundamentally better products and outcomes for all people. I would say that to an aspiring entrepreneur, you may not know that you're an aspiring entrepreneur just yet. You may think that you're just an art student or just a science student, or maybe you're a business student with lofty goals of starting your own business, you know, like all business students seem to. But that the skills that you learn outside of the classroom and inside of the classroom in terms of work ethic, in terms of project development, and I mean, even just going to university itself, that kind of understanding the requirements, building up a support network to be able to get through those challenges, and then coming through and delivering on the goal of either the ring or the certificate, that in and of itself is an entrepreneurial endeavor. It's you finding the thing that you need to get your next goal in place, and finding a way to take the skills and knowledge you already have and the access you already have, and engage that and increase that to the point where you can get where you want to be at the end of your mission. I would also say sleep. Sleep is good. I know sometimes sleep seems like the enemy, but learning to sleep is very helpful. So thank you to everyone who's helped me through this internship. It's been a phenomenally transformative process. But specifically, I'd like to thank my mentor, Dave Risk, Sue and Phil at the Extension Department and the Innovation Center. Of course, Mark Wallace and his family for starting the Wallace internship and helping continue its progress. And I'd also like to thank my other interns for being a phenomenal crew to go through the first iteration with. I don't think we would have had the same experience without this particular cohort. So thank you all, and hope to see you all soon.